After 20 years, Mel Gibson is bringing back one of the most powerful and most debated films in modern history. The Passion of the Christ shook the world back in 2004, and now its long-awaited sequel, The Resurrection of the Christ, is finally happening. But here's a surprise. Gibson isn't just picking up where he left off. He's completely recast Jesus, Mary Magdalene, and nearly everyone else. So what happened? Why the total reboot? And how exactly do you follow up one of the most emotional, controversial, and highest-grossing independent films ever made? Let's break down everything we know, from the new cast to Gibson's bold new vision, and why this could end up being his most ambitious film yet. Back in 2004, The Passion of the Christ wasn't just a movie, it was a phenomenon. Some called it divine, others disturbing, but everyone had an opinion. It grossed over $610 million globally and became the most successful independent film of all time. Now Gibson's finally returning to that world, not to rehash old ground, but to explore what happened after. The Resurrection of the Christ begins 3 days after the crucifixion, diving deep into the aftermath, the mystery, and the supernatural elements of what followed. Here's where things get really interesting. Gibson has completely recast the main roles. The new Jesus will be played by Jaakko Ohtonen, a Finnish actor fans may recognize from The Last Kingdom and Vikings Valhalla. Known for his intensity and quiet power, Ohtonen steps into one of the most challenging roles imaginable. Opposite him, as Mary Magdalene, is Mariela Garriga, the Cuban actress from Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning. She's replacing Bellucci, and insiders say her performance brings a more grounded, human touch to the story. So why the change? Well, it turns out that digitally de-aging the original actors would have been too expensive and technically complicated. Gibson apparently saw this as a chance to start with a clean slate and reshape the story for a new era. The supporting cast is just as stacked. Kasia Smutnik from Domina will play Mary, the mother of Jesus. Pierluigi Pazzino steps in as Peter, one of the disciples. Riccardo Scamarcio takes on the role of Pontius Pilate. And Rupert Everett appears in what's described as a small but pivotal role. It's a diverse international lineup fitting for a story that changed the world. Gibson is once again writing, directing, and producing under his Icon Productions banner, with Lionsgate handling distribution. The screenplay, co-written with Braveheart writer Randall Wallace, is said to be Gibson's most daring project yet. He's even called it an acid trip, which might not be what most people expect from a biblical epic. And here's a twist. The Resurrection of the Christ will be split into 2 parts. Part 1 drops on Good Friday, March 26, 2027, and Part 2 follows 40 days later on Ascension Day, May 6, 2027. It's symbolic, but also practical. The story's scope is simply too large for one film. Production has already begun at Cinecittà Studios in Rome, where the original Passion was filmed. Gibson's also shooting across southern Italy, in Madeira, Gravina, and Altamura, places that naturally resemble the biblical world. It's said that Gibson is using cutting-edge tech while keeping the authenticity fans loved. Like before, the dialogue will be in Aramaic, Hebrew, and Latin, preserving that raw, historical immersion that set the Passion apart. Let's be honest, following up The Passion of the Christ is no easy task. It wasn't just a movie, it was a cultural lightning bolt. And while Gibson's return is exciting, there's also skepticism. Can lightning really strike twice? Can new faces recreate the same emotional gravity that Jim Caviezel and Monica Bellucci delivered 2 decades ago? Still, one thing's certain, whether you're drawn by faith, curiosity, or pure cinematic interest, The Resurrection of the Christ is shaping up to be one of the most talked about films of 2027. So what do you think? Will Gibson's resurrection story live up to the legacy of the Passion? Or is it a gamble that might fall short of divine expectations? Drop your thoughts below, I'd love to hear where you stand.